And we are live.
We're live with another episode of BS Busters. And we have a full episode today. We have some stuff going down, some stuff that needs to be talked about. But before we get into it, okay, that's cool, Dragon. Before we get into it, I'm just gonna put down. I'm just gonna let everyone introduce themselves. We'll start with Dragon. Dragon, introduce yourself first.
Hello, I've not come here in a while. Back from a not so distant past and into the present. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Jewel, you go next.
Salutations, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Gaming Mage, Jewel Writer Eli Moonstar, and it's time to show some companies who's boss.
Yeah. And next we have Pinky Don.
Hello. Currently, I'm playing Pokemon Ultra Sun, so I'll probably have trouble multitasking between listening to everyone else and reading the text of the NPCs. So let's get this party started, shall we?
Yes, and of course it's me, Mr. Red Fox. But let's get into the news first. I had this all planned out, but then some stuff dropped this week where the gamers were like, "We won, we beat EA."
Really?
Beat EA.
You think that you beat and beat EA?
Yes, they beat EA, but what they don't know is that someone beat EA, but it wasn't gamers. You want to know who beat EA?
Themselves.
I'll tell you who beat EA. The people who hold the IP for Star Wars. They beat EA. You want to know who had that strong pimp hand?
MICKEYMOUSE.
That's right, Mickey. He was like, "Are you messing with my money, EA? Are you messing with my money? That's it. I'm gonna have to show you my pimp hand. Goofy, hold him down. Go get my sock with a brick in it. We're gonna show these mofos who are boss."
It's hard to not laugh when you do that.
And that just seems like something that Mickey Mouse would do. Because he can't help having that weird laugh. That asthmatic laugh. But yeah, so Disney was like, yo, you're messing with our IP. You better fix this shit, son. And listen, EA needs to understand something. The Star Wars part of Disney, the lady who's in charge of LucasArts, she has no problem firing people who are fucking with the IP. You don't believe me? Go ask those two dudes who were working on that Han Solo movie.
They're on the
street. They were making the Han Solo movie into a comedy rather than a serious space opera.
And that guy who was working on that other movie, listen, she will fire your ass in a minute. She will fire your ass so quickly, your ass won't even know what happened. It's like, what happened? What? You will get fired so fast that you'll be like, what happened, man? My ass got fired and shit.
Oh, those guys are gonna recognize her name by the time that she's through.
Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy don't play around. Okay, she does not play. And so EA was messing with that mouse's money. You don't mess with the mouse's money. Because here's the difference between Disney and WB, right? Like basically WB, and this isn't a video game to video game comparison. This is a video game to media impression, but they're both IPs, okay?
Okay.
WB let Zack Snyder come in and mess up their IP. So much so that Justice League, which in terms of the tone and shifting the tone from what it was, is actually a step in the right direction. But here's the thing. Justice League looks like it's going to be a flop. Not because it's a terrible movie within and of itself, but because Zack Snyder he polluted the river with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. So people are like burned on those two movies. They're like, I don't know if I want to get burned a third time. You know, you burned me twice. You know, and I'm not. You're not gonna burn my ass a third time. You know?
And anybody that watched the Sci-Fi Power would know that to me, Superman versus Batman and the Justice League are sitting at the pretty low end of the spectrum for me.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, just from Superman alone, they started to pivot from that dark, moody, emotionless, mopey. Well, he wasn't emotionless. He was a mopey bastard who needed to get backhanded across the face. You're Superman. Be more happy. But anyway, but that's neither here nor there. That's
back to the target here.
Kathleen Kennedy was someone, like, here's the thing. When someone was messing with Star Wars' IPs, she fired their ass, okay? Someone messed with, because they do not want people messing up their core IP. Because here's the thing. You can make money off of Superman, Batman, all that shit, Star Wars in the future. But if the IP gets soured, people just will stop coming, period. So really, keeping the IP fresh and liked is better than just making short-term money, right? And you know, that's the difference between WB and Disney. Disney says, you fuck with my IP, your ass got to go. WB's like, well, we'll give them a chance. Maybe they can turn it around. Meanwhile, the IP just keeps on getting devalued more and more. But that's neither here nor there. So gamers popping up. Oh man, we won. We beat. I mean, I hate to use this example.
If I remember right, somebody said 1,000 to 1.
That was me. I said game EA 1,000, gamers 1, and it wasn't even the gamers 1. It was Disney said that mouse came in there and said, "Oh EA, you're fucking for money, huh? Well, Goofy, hold him down. I'm gonna have to curb stomp your ass, bitch."
Hey, Kenoshi.
We're joined by Kenoshi Abominito. How's it going, Kenoshi? Well, we were just talking about how. No, Kenoshi, we were just talking about how gamers said they beat EA when it was really Disney stepped in and said, "You're messing with our money, and we can't have that." Pretty standard stuff. Nothing really outlandish. That's it. I think we've exhausted that particular.
I was gonna say, wouldn't the next topic be? Go ahead.
I was gonna say that if EA were to disappear, it'd actually be beneficial to the industry and not detrimental. If they were to fall,
not really. In my opinion,
think about this, the NFL license and the Star Wars licenses could go out to different publishers, having more, different ideas rather than it just being under EA.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think it would be a good thing for EA. I don't want EA to fall because I don't want to see a lot of people lose their jobs. But it would be good if EA's stranglehold on certain IPs was broken up. Because
other sports IPs, as far as I know.
I don't think Madden and FIFA should be held in the hands of EA. Because there needs to be competition. That's the problem with gaming. That's the problem with a lot of these IPs. There's no competition. And that's not good.
Yeah, that's true.
Totally not good.
We're all in agreement then.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't want a lot of people to lose their jobs because that's not cool, but
it's not cool for people to lose their jobs, but it would be worth it to see those people get better jobs elsewhere than to have them work under such terrible business practices.
Well, you know what? Yeah, you're right. So yeah, that might be what they have to do. EA's got to go.
I think we destroyed EA right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next topic, which is Sony. Sony's PS4. Haha. Sony's PS4.
I was gonna say, I think the Pro's not doing as high as it's supposed to.
Well, it was never going to do as well because why would people want to spend more? Why would people want to spend at least $150 more for a minor upgrade?
People would. Somebody might say in the background VR.
Yeah, but most people aren't. Most people aren't getting VR. So.
Because of how expensive the VR is and how impractical they are currently are.
I mean, there are no must-have games for VR, so. And I know some people are going to get mad when I say that. They're going to be like, "How dare you? How dare you say that, you bastard?
Huh.
How dare you? How dare you say VR isn't the future?" Because
I got a lot to say about that one, but I'll let you punch first.
well, the only reason I say it's not the future is because there's nothing that there has been nothing that's been released that says it absolutely needs VR.
Well, to me, I have to say this: VR is mostly first person, and if you trying to make a game that's based on first person, there's plenty of games out there that would allow you to do that, and yet, in a sense, all you really need is to use a controller that's not even trying to do motion control at times. And then you got what you had the VR experience.
You're right. I mean, the thing is that there's nothing that really shows. There's no Mario for VR. There's no game. There's no bellwether game to show why VR needs to exist. And I mean, I know some people are going to get mad when I say that. They're going to be like, "How dare you, sir? How dare you?" But I mean, let's keep it real. There's no game out there that makes VR really a must-have thing.
Or the next generation of gaming, and that is.
Or several, considering how terrible it's looking.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I wish people would calm down and be like, you know, how dare you do that?
People are still rooting for VR. People are still talking about that like it's something.
As I said, I would say that somebody in the background would say VR.
I don't know. That's weird.
How can I put this? I think that the people who are saying VR is the future are people who are being paid to say VR is the future, because most people aren't playing VR games. You can't play them for a long period of time, and there are no must-have games for it. So,
not to mention other handicaps, but let's get back to punching PlayStation right now.
Yeah. So yeah, PlayStation. You know, Sony. I mean, but yet again, Sony's PS4 is still rolling along, running over the Xbox One, the triple Xbox. Sorry. So here's my question: does anyone think that the triple Xbox is actually going to do jack shit this year?
Nope. Especially if you're on Windows 10.
I was gonna say
initially it'll do all right, but as time passes, it'll flatline, near flatline.
I hate to break this to you, but it's not doing all right because it like basically the triple Xbox, since it has been released week by week, has been outsold by the PS4, which the PS4 is being outsold by the Switch. So basically, almost everywhere except for Europe, where I think the PS4 some weeks is actually outperforming the Switch, but they're like neck and neck week over week. The Xbox One isn't doing jack squat anywhere, really.
I would say this much: if the Xbox One really had a chance, we would have saw it by now. I mean, I would be surprised if it made a blip over 3,000.
And you know what's considered to be grossing? I found this article that talks about 16 awesome, quote unquote, reasons why we should buy an Xbox One X in 2018 next year.
Oh, yeah. Are any of them saying games?
Let's see. Let's see. Says the first reason, the best bang for your buck, undisputed. Number 2, Netflix-like game subscription service is a new way to play games. Number 3, backwards compatibility. Number 4, the best, fastest, and most reliable online network. Number 5, the most powerful console ever made. Number 6, the games. Number 7, Xbox Play Anywhere program. Number 8, crossplay. Number 9, the best controller in existence. Number 10, tons of custom hardware options to suit your personality and style. Number 11, a free bundle of games every month with GWG, Games with Gold. Number 12, best pro consumer box available. Number 13, most in-depth achievement system integration. Number 14, never play alone, social gaming at its best. Number 15, unique apps and features exclusive to Xbox One. And number 16, the Xbox One consoles is Ultra 4K Blu-ray player.
11 and 6 only things that I mentioned in games, as far as I know.
Yeah, I call all of those bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What could end up being worse is that the upcoming exclusives could still get canceled based on previous years. So.
Well, that's the thing. There are no exclusives for the system. Everything that's coming exclusively to the triple Xbox is also coming to PC. So if you have a decent PC, you can play these games without spending $500 on a triple Xbox or paying their exorbitant ass Xbox Live prices. So I mean, I said
the exact thing.
Hey guys, I got
the author just replied to me saying they're not all on PC, and I just listed 16 reasons. LOL. That's a pretty lackluster response, if you ask me.
Hey guys, I gotta go. But
all right.
One more thing I want to say before I go. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a $60 free-to-play mobile game. Enjoy.
Yes, trolling as per usual, sir. Trolling as per usual. Okay, we're glad you could be here. We hope you can make another one in the future. Okay, but back to what we were talking about. I mean, where do we go from here, folks?
Did Endo say, I think another time, that without the software sales to, like, what was it? They're going to sell at a horrible loss pretty much with the triple Xbox, and without the software sales to supplement them. Like,
they're already selling at a horrible loss. I mean, as soon as the triple Xbox was launched, there are no exclusives for it. So there's nothing to, like, they're like, it's the most powerful home console. It's like Microsoft didn't learn anything from the Neo Geo. Like, not a damn thing.
I actually have a sort of theory. So we're kind of seeing a similar thing with EA and Respawn that you kind of mentioned, I think, in like Endual's podcast, where, like, because 2 times they announced bad news, and it's the same, like, that week there's either a Switch conference, or not really a conference, but like a showcase of a new game, or like the Switch presentation, and it's like, wait, or the big heads of Microsoft trying to kill the, like, Xbox, not really kill the Xbox division, but just kind of force them to where they have to follow what they want, which is to get out of the console race.
And that's what I think they're doing. I think that this is like, I think the reason they're releasing the triple Xbox is so that they can basically say, look, we gave these people the most powerful console ever. It still didn't work. So now we're basically going to bow out of this console thing. and you're just going to have to play our games on PC. And you will, I mean, really, I think Microsoft will say, okay, we're going to become a publisher. We're just going to publish games. None of this Xbox shit. We'll put game for people who own an Xbox. They'll continue to support that for another 2 or 3 years, maybe, and then you know, then they'll just start putting things on every console. Like you'll see Microsoft publish games on everything and PC in the next 2 or 3 years, I think, because I don't think the triple Xbox is really gonna do anything. Thoughts? Anybody?
I got nothing else to say about the Xbox One X, since everyone already said it better than myself.
All right, Jewel.
As I said, if it manages to keep over 3,000 sold, 300 sold each time, I'll be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then. So I guess we move on to the second topic, which is, let me check the side area. Well, we already talked about that. Nintendo. Okay, Nintendo's third-party sales are pretty damn good. Third-party games are selling on the system. We don't have any concrete numbers, but none of the third parties who have games that are on the system are complaining about the sales of the games on the system. So, I mean, you know, I guess that's good. The first-party sales are going gangbusters as well. So, I mean, we can sufficiently say that Nintendo's making a lot of money off of their system.
Of course.
Yeah, front end and back end. But this leads to something else. Nintendo says that they are not Nintendo. There's a rumor that Nintendo is going to make an animated movie with Illumination.
Yeah.
I think it could work. I mean, because Super Mario's always done better.
Animated
versus live action. So I think it could totally work. But here's my question. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
I'll start out with. Let me start out with my thoughts on this. See, Illumination Entertainment is widely agreed upon to be just a cheap carbon copy of DreamWorks Animation, and their involvement to produce a Mario movie is already doomed to failure, since, as I mentioned in one of my previous articles, any CG animation studio that isn't Pixar or DreamWorks will be seen as either average or terrible by both critics and animation enthusiasts. That, and because video game-based movies tend to have a bad rap. Like, for example, the new trailer for the Rampage movie. It looks terrible because it's straying too far from the source material.
Okay, Jewel, give your thoughts.
I'm gonna hold my breath on that because I want to see something happen that's good, but we can already guess what's going to happen with the track record of video game movies.
Okay, I'm going to look up Illumination's record because I'm pretty sure there are some films that they did that were good. Here, let me. I know they feel like a kind of a knockoff of DreamWorks or sorry, Pixar. I think they're more like kind of like I think they're kind of like a knockoff version of DreamWorks, not Pixar.
That's
okay,
but a copy of DreamWorks.
Yeah. Okay. So they did. So here are their films. They did Despicable Me. That wasn't a terrible film. They did Hop. That was kind of shitty. I'll admit that was shitty. Dr. Seuss's The Lorax. That wasn't terrible. They did Despicable Me 2. That made a lot of money.
Yeah, though it's not as good as the first one.
No, it isn't. But it made a lot of money. I have to keep it real. Minions made even more money than Despicable Me 2. The Secret Life of Pets was actually a good film.
But people complain of being a complete knockoff of Toy Story because the story.
Well, I mean, it is, but I mean, Toy Story itself is a knockoff of
The Brave Little Toaster, yeah.
Well, no, I was going to say it's a knockoff of the Odyssey, but I mean, it's basically the same thing. And then they did Sing, which wasn't that good. And then they did Despicable Me 3, which was not very good, as we can all agree. But that basically made almost as much as Minions. So I mean, and some of these are not very good. Like Sing, like here's the thing: Illumination's animation isn't terrible. It's actually pretty good. It's just their stories are kind of uninspired, more or less. But they aren't terrible.
Someone mentioned that if the deal gets completed and released, the movie will probably be merchandise and hyped for months and years on end. Even though it's Mario and Mario sells itself without all the overkill on merchandise and commercials.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. There's going to be Mario Happy Meals. There's going to be Mario Happy Meal toys. There's going to be Mario cereal. I mean, literally, it's going to be a revamp of what happened during the 80s when Super Mario Brothers came out all over again, except it's going to be tied into the movie and not the video game. Although if Nintendo's smart, they'll come out with a video game based on the movie. Which is going to be totally meta. It's a video game based on a movie based on a video game. Mind blown. And the most important question is, will Chris Martinet do the voice? Because if Chris Martinet is doing the voice, then I'm not gonna watch it.
You have a problem with Chris Martinet?
I don't like his voice for Mario. I know. People are gonna get mad at me. They're gonna be like, "How dare you?" I don't like Chris Martinet's voice for Mario.
Because you're more into Captain Lou's.
Well, because I'm old school, and for me, Charles Martinet's voice is like I already had a Mario voice in my head before Charles Martinet became the voice of Mario. So, like, I find his voice for Mario to be kind of annoying. You know, and that's just the way it is. And I know that sounds terrible, but oh well. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, Sega. Speaking of old characters, yeah, Sega. So who here thinks Sega can pull things around, can turn things around?
Nope.
After what they did to Sonic Forces, I think somebody's going to be in for a long sleep for a while.
Well,
Buzz, the Sonic production for the Sonic movie switched studios yet again.
What?
Why are they making a Sonic movie?
And who the heck got it this round?
Why would anyone?
I completely forgot who's going to be developing the movie right now.
I'm going to keep it real. There is one aspect. There is only one way in my mind that a Sonic movie could work. Okay? Check this out. I'm going to pitch it to you guys. Tell me if this doesn't sound cool. Sonic the Hedgehog, like some mad scientist, not Dr. Eggman, like a real scientist, not a fake one, gets an old Sega Genesis. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 cartridge, okay? And they put it into this machine, and it turns what's in that cartridge into reality. So it creates pixelized real-life versions of Sonic the Hedgehog and Tails and Dr. Robotnik. And they're in the real world, but here's the thing. Sonic doesn't realize that in the real world, he's a fucking joke. Like, he has that 90s tune, but people take him as a joke. And so basically, he has the soul-crushing realization that
He's
in the
no
real
longer
world
cool.
he's not cool. He's like he's running up to kids like, yeah, you're too slow. It's like, get out of my face, you bastard. You know, I mean, they aren't cursing, but you get what I'm saying. Like they're very like, what the hell's going on? And like he comes to the slow realization that he doesn't matter. He has no purpose. And so the film, meanwhile, Dr. Robotnik is actually messing up shit in the real world because he is a genius. And Tails comes into his own because, I mean, he's a flying fox who's also a genius too. So if anyone could make it, he could.
This sounds big. Similar to the part of that one Mega Man anime OVA back in the 90s.
You mean the one where they pop out of the TV?
Yeah.
yeah, I saw that. But this one at the end, Sonic realizes that while he's just a video game character in the real world and kind of seen as a relic of the past, he can go back to his world and be a hero, which is what he does. And that's the end of the film. Like Tails stays in the real world because he's a genius, because he can make stuff. Sonic gets a hold to Dr. Robotnik and beats the shit out of him, and they drags him into the game. And that's the end of the end of the movie. That's it. That's the end. That's it. They have hijinks, live action hijinks. I don't know if that would work.
If anything, that would actually be the most fun Sonic movie I would ever see.
Yeah.
Sonic realizing that he's better in the games than in real life.
Yeah.
Tails actually getting his own stand of sorts, and Robotnik having somebody equal to him to try to fight back on.
Yeah. And here's my way to give myself a backdoor if this movie makes money, right? If the movie makes money, we come out with an unreleased teaser where at the end of the film, right, the scientist who released Sonic and Tails and Dr. Robotnik and Dr. Robotnik's, maybe like one or two of Dr. Robotnik's robots, in the movie, like we get a post-credits stinger where like the same scientist has Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh.
And he's like, using a gem to get endless power. It could work.
I was gonna say, would he have the Sonic 3 or Sonic 3 and Knuckles?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That becomes, you know, we can parse it out. But I'm just saying, if it makes money. We have a couple of comments. One from Falcon Launch. Are you trying to hate on Final Fantasy 15's VR fishing minigame? Yes, I am hating on it. As a matter of fact, I'm hating on that entire game. Yeah, yeah. So One White Kong says Sega owns Atlas now, so Atlas might save them. Look, Atlas couldn't even save themselves.
I was gonna say
that's why they got bought
to hold
out.
an entire world. How in the heck is it supposed to hold all the trouble that Sega got into?
Yeah. Atlas can't save their ass. Shit. Atlas can't even save themselves. Because don't forget, the reason Sega owns Atlas is because the company that owned Atlas was doing some shady stuff, and it turns out they were like hiding losses by juggling stuff around. And Atlas was profitable, but other parts of Index, I think it was called Index, wasn't profitable, and so they were damn near bankrupt. And so Sega swooped in and bought them. And they haven't really messed with Atlas's output yet. So, you know, as long as they let Atlas do what they do, I'm not angry about it.
Have to wait and see.
Yeah. As long as they don't mess with Shin Megami Tensei and Persona and Atlas's other quirky titles that they make, I'm not gonna say anything. So that brings me to part D of Nintendo's thing, which is, what are the games / genres you want to see on the Switch? Now, keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. Nintendo said 2017 they were putting out traditional Nintendo IPs. So we got your Marios, your Zeldas, your JRPGs, etc. Your Splatoon. Next year, 2018, they say they're focusing on non-traditional Nintendo IPs. So what are games and genres that are non-traditional Nintendo IPs that you want to see on the Switch?
So, scrolling shooter, like Tape R.
All right. Well, I'm an R-Type fan. I mean, I don't know if like Irem still makes R-Type games, but if anybody holds the rights, I want to see another R-Type. Here, let me look that up. R-Type. R-Type. I had Super R-Type back in the day. Let's see. Irem. Yeah, Irem. I think they're out of business.
Oh.
No, they're still in business.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they were out.
No, I said I think they're out of business, but they're still ticking.
Huh.
Their website is still up.
I was gonna say, was their latest game somewhere in 2013?
I'm looking up their list of games. Recently. No, the last game they came out with was Doki Doki Suikoden. So, and that was for the PSP. So, yeah, I think they're barely holding on.
Back.
Yeah, I think they're barely holding on. I think they're dead in all ways, shapes, and forms. I don't think they're still doing things.
There goes one wish.
Yeah.
Hey, Pinks, you got something?
Okay. So yeah, they have put out some games for the 3DS, but they were like CR Deluxe C Story, aka Pachipara 3D Deluxe C Managari. Pachipara 3D Okai Monotagari 2 with Agnes. Jesus. Like their last game was a patchy. Good God. They have done nothing for the last few years.
I was saying, when was the last game? 2013?
2013, yeah. That was the last thing.
Dang, I hit the nail.
Yeah.
Unintentional.
That's a shame.
Back to the topic at hand before we get more depressed. What about you?
Oh snap. Raph left. Okay. I would like to see a couple of games on the system that haven't been on Nintendo systems for a while. I'd like to see another Double Dragon, because I like side-scrolling beat 'em ups.
I was about to say, I know which kind of you were talking about since you mentioned Double Dragon.
Yeah, and I am a side-scrolling beat 'em up fanboy, so I like seeing people get the daylight
beats out of them.
Well, yeah, and Double Dragon was always more tactical than Final Fight or Streets of Rage. Like, you couldn't just go around button mashing in Double Dragon. You had to actually know moves and when to use the right moves, when not to use the right moves, because not every move was effective against every type of enemy.
That's the funny thing. I never gotten that far in Double Dragon, and I only did okay with just punching.
Well, that's the thing. In Double Dragon, different types of enemies are like certain attacks are more effective against certain types of enemies. Like the big dudes like a Bobo, really jump kicks and elbow smashes work on them. Normal enemies, you can just punch them, but some of the other enemies in the game are a lot tougher. Like normal punches don't do anything, or they just shrug it off or whatever. Oh well. Let's see. Another genre or game that I would like to see on the Switch next year. I don't know if it'll happen, but I'd like to see it. I would like to see I would like to see some classical JRPGs. I know Square Enix holds the keys to a lot of them, so it's got to go through Square Enix. I'd like to see Final Fantasy Legend brought back. That'd be cool. I'd like to see what else? Final Fantasy Legend.
Sorry guys, my computer got blue screened yet again.
Ouch.
That's okay. That's okay, Broham. You might, hey, if you're lucky, you might get a new notebook or laptop for Christmas. Now, for me personally, like I want to see some of those old kind of obscure games that they made remakes for the 3DS and 2DS, or sorry, the 3DS and DS. I want to see those kind of brought back. So I'd like to see Final Fantasy Legend games brought back, the Saga games brought back. Stuff like that. That's what I'd like to see. Since you're here now, Pinky, the topic we're talking about is games/genres we want to see on the Switch next year. Since Nintendo says they're bringing non-traditional Nintendo games to the console, so games that aren't necessarily been associated with Nintendo are coming to the system next year. So, what would you like to see?
Let's see. Would shooters count as a? What about horror games?
Whatever you want. I mean, as long as it's not a non-traditional, as long as it's not a traditional Nintendo game, you can.
Non-traditional horror game. That would be. Then horror would be a decent pick. I was thinking. Would that include indies as well? Like
yeah.
All right. I was thinking maybe they could bring in Amnesia: The Dark Descent to the Switch, as well as Slender: The Lost Pages, or the 8 Pages as they call it. And perhaps all 5 FNAF games, as well as the spin-off.
All right.
Essentially, the most popular horror games that were played by YouTubers, as well as Bendy and the Ink Machines once they complete all 5 episodes of that game.
Okay. If that makes you happy. This is your genre you want to see on the Switch. I don't know if Friday Nights at Friday will make it, but hey, why the hell not? And then finally, our next topic is Pimp That Game. This is where you're going to promote an underrated game. Now, it can be a game on the Virtual Console. It can be a game on a handheld. It has to be a game that's underrated, that people don't really talk about or mention, that you think people should play. Who wants to go first?
I'll take a drop on this round, since I'm trying to actually think of which one.
Same here.
Okay, then I guess I'll go first. Well, a game that I really do love that I don't think enough people have played is Ogre Battle 64: Person of Lordly Caliber. It's one of the few RPGs for the N64. There's only like 4 or 5 of them. And it's not only just an RPG, it's also a pretty hardcore strategy game. Not in the same vein as a Suikoden or a Fire Emblem. It's got a grander scale. Fire Emblem is you moving individual units. Ogre Battle, you're moving around entire squadrons comprised of up to 5 individual characters on a 3x3 grid. And their positioning determines like what type of attacks they use and stuff like that. And depending on the class and job and level of the characters, how much damage they do, how many attacks they do per skirmish. And there's a lot of things you have to juggle when doing this. There's stamina, which is basically like a unit that has to march across an entire map to fight an enemy will be tired by the time they get to the enemy, so they'll do less damage. Like enemies that are characters that are stationed in a fortified city get a boost to defense. Yeah, to defense and stuff like that. So the game is like there's a lot of depth to it. On top of it's not just like just beating up people. So and terrain and all that type of stuff and unit type, like if you put a flying unit in charge of a unit of other characters, like as the unit leader, as a squadron leader, they'll be flying, so they can like go over certain types of terrain and stuff. I mean, it's a really deep game, and it has really great music and a really interesting story. And I mean, it's on the Wii U Virtual Console and the Wii Virtual Console. So if you want to play a decent game, go get it. Damn it. Who else has an underrated game they want to promote? A game that came out and it's like this thing did not sell as well as it should have.
This is a little tricky for me because I'm still playing it, even though I've had a real hard time trying to play through it. Crimson Shroud.
That's that almost like a dice D&D style game, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, where you actually can add extra effects or at least do better in some battles by adding certain dice that you gain from battles.
All right, and that's on the 3DS, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Not sure if this counts as underrated, but Pokemon Conquest. I mean, it's considered to be one of the best Pokemon spin-offs of the series, and yet there has not been any sequels or follow-ups since now that we got a bigger Dex roster, in Gen 6 and Gen 7. So I was hoping that maybe Tecmo Koei would one day work with Game Freak to make another Pokemon Conquest game, and probably add a few new features to improve upon the already existing mechanics of the first game, as well as updating the type chart with the inclusion of fairy types.
Okay, one of our listeners has actually put a game forward, an underrated game. I'd like to see some card-based new IP. Baton Kaitos was really cool, but that was more than 10 years ago. Man, I'm with you. But I'd just like to see another Baton Kaitos, man. I don't need a new one.
Agreed.
I just want Baton Kaitos 2, because Baton Kaitos Origins was garbage. And I say this as someone who has both games and have played the hell out of them. I played Baton Kaitos so much that I scratched the hell out of my disc and I had to buy a new copy. But I love that game so much. It's so much fun. And it's so dense and cakey. You can build these decks and customize the hell out of them, and like when everything falls the way you want it to, and like you get far enough in the game and you do like a flush where you're like where it goes from 1 to like 9. or 9-1. Oh man. Oh.
It's like poetry in motion.
Oh yeah, yeah. You do massive damage. Man, Beijing Katos was a good game. That's another underrated game I think that Nintendo needs to bring back and put on the system. In other words, Nintendo, Virtual Console, bitches. Actually, Beijing Katos was a GameCube game. GameCube Virtual Console, bitches. Hint, hint, hint.
I was about to say, you know the likelihood of that happening, right?
We could get a GameCube Virtual Console.
I'm saying that before we've at least before we at least get our hopes too high.
The likelihood of a GameCube Virtual Console are more likely happening on the Switch than it was on the Wii U, just because at this point with the Virtual Console, Nintendo has gone from having arcade games to PC Engine games to 8-bit games, 16-bit games, N64, so 64-bit games. So at this point, the only console gen that they haven't touched that's still considered kind of sort of retro is GameCube games. So, I mean, I'm just saying, Mario Sunshine on the Switch, bitch. Mario Sunshine, GameCube Virtual Console.
Hopefully with fixed mechanics.
Yeah, fix that camera. Although, I mean, let's keep it real. If they couldn't fix that camera for Mario Odyssey, they can't fix that shit for Sunshine.
It's not the camera I want fixed.
But aren't virtual console games always they never alter the original? They never altered the original games for the virtual console. They're always left unchanged.
I would normally say that, but let's not forget you could download like an optimized version of the Metroid Prime trilogy for the Wii U, and that game was kind of changed a little bit. So, and I mean, let's not forget Nintendo has been adding more things to their virtual console, like save states and like stuff like that. I mean, so like I said.
So that means there's a chance for them to fix Melee when they put it in the virtual console, right?
Or they could just use the European version. They could just use the European version. So then
that would make a lot of people salty.
Yeah, and seeing those salty bastards would make me happy. Like Nintendo's like, you're getting Smash Brothers, but it's Melee, but it's the European version.
The tears will flow like waterfalls.
Although, I mean, like, here's the thing. If Nintendo was going to HDify a Smash Brothers game, I would rather them HDify Brawl. Like, because really...
Not the original N64?
No, because the N64 game is fun, but it's very antiquated and archaic.
Ancient.
Yeah, it's very antiquated and it's archaic. Melee is mechanically a better game, but it's still not like it has a lot of glitches and stuff. Brawl, in my opinion, aside from its online not being very good, but the single player, the adventure mode was really expansive. The single player was good. The local multiplayer was good. Like mechanically, it was a very sound game. I know a lot of people like, well, I didn't like tripping. It's like, shut the fuck up. But yeah, I really do think that all those things could be, if they HDified that game, I'd be cool with it. So Dragon Swords, you're back. Would you like to promote an underrated game?
This might kind of be late. It's 4-year-old, at least in a Western release. If I guess some of you guys still have a PS3 at this time.
That's okay.
Yeah, if you haven't played this, well, you might be in for a treat. It's Time and Eternity. I don't think I've seen a game like this done before, I guess, this game released. So it's basically I guess the best way to say is you're playing an anime.
Okay.
So it's a JRPG. funny enough, with the recent Xenoblade Chronicles 2 news, it seems they took some notes from that game.
You mean how the game basically it lets you do it in Japanese voice acting? With
Well, not just
subtitles?
that, the whole idea of just two souls
Oh,
in a yeah.
oh well, all right.
Huh.
So let's move on to the fifth topic. We've only got two more left. Bring back an underutilized IP, but put it into an entirely new genre.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wonderful 101, beat 'em up.
Well, Wonderful 101 was already a beat 'em up.
I mean, Double Dragon beat 'em up.
Oh, where you just you're just one character and beating up people?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
At least see what those heroes could do on their own.
Except Wonder Red would be ridiculously OP because he was already ridiculously OP.
He was really that bad? That powerful?
Have you beaten that game?
That final boss keeps on giving me headaches.
Well, at this point, you can spoil it for yourself. Go on YouTube and watch the final battle. Wonder Red is ridiculously OP at the end of that game. I mean, he punches a dude so hard his clothes get burst off of him. It's ridiculous. It's totally anime. I love it.
That I can honestly believe.
So Dragon Sword, I guess you can go next. Bring
If
back.
you're wondering, I was trying to do it on the hardest difficulty.
Yeah, bring back an underutilized IP, but put it into an entirely new genre. For example, bring back R-Type, but turn it into a JRPG.
R-Type as a JRPG. That would be a weird one.
Look, they made it into a strategy game, so that's not a far jump. Go ahead, Dragon.
When was the last installment for the Azure Striker series, actually?
I'm not sure.
If it was 3 years ago, I would like to see it be back and just, I guess, be more of a open world. Yeah, just to kind of bring more depth with the whole espers and psychic sort of thing. Yeah.
I'm not really familiar with Azure Strikers. I've heard of it, but I'm not, But I guess it's Pinky Don's turn. Pinky.
Yeah, I already have an IP in mind, Rampage, and make it I forgot what a 3D fighting game, a 3D ringer fighting game like the Tekken series.
That'd be cool.
Soul Calibur. I mean,
You'd have to have more monsters than this George, Liz, and that Red.
Well, they already made more than 30.
If I remember right, didn't they make a remake of Rampage for the Wii and had more characters in it?
Yeah, it had like 4 or 5. It had the original. It had George, Liz, and the Rat. But then they had like 2 others. It wasn't a huge roster though.
There's actually around 40. There's actually around 30 of them. Around 30.
Really? Okay. Well, fair enough. I guess it's my turn. Okay, this is going to sound really weird because this is an IP that we haven't seen in a while. So I would like to see a Fire Emblem game. Well, no, not Fire Emblem. I would like to see a Front Mission game turned into a straight up mech action shooter with some RPG elements. Because Front Mission typically is a strategy JRPG. But I would like it to see it turned into like you're in a mech, you're going around shooting people. Maybe you can get out of the mech and in certain stealth missions and go inside of a building and sneak up behind people and, you know, stealth them to death or whatever. Maybe you can get out of your mech and sneak up on someone using a stealth device and like hijack their mech and then, you know, keep on going. I would like to see another front mission game. I haven't played a good front mission game in years, and I have like 5 of them. But I mean, the last good one I played was 3.
Ages back.
It was 3 on the PS1. So yeah, because I mean, you know, because I'm a front mission fan. It's got giant mechs that aren't ridiculous looking like Gundams. So yeah. See, here's the thing. Gundams look cool, but that's the thing. They look way too cool for something to be used for war type purposes. You know? Like, whereas, you know, Vonzers, which is what they call the mechs in front mission, look like functional, like someone would actually.
They look like real battle
use
machines.
Yeah, someone could actually make this and use this, and so that sounds cool. That seems cool to me. So yeah, that's what I would like to see brought back. Our second to last topic is a free topic. Anything anyone wants to bring up before we get to the end? Anything they want to get off their chest, bring up, throw down a flight of steps, whatever.
Let's see if there's anything I want to discuss.
I may have something. I guess I'll go ahead. Anybody heard of Super Lucky's Tale?
Yeah, that was supposed to be the Mario killer.
Yeah, for the Xbox One X, right?
Yeah.
It was the Mario killer until Odyssey came out, and Lucky said, "Shit, I can't fight that."
And apparently, it's not a good game.
I don't know if it's not a good game because I've heard a lot of people hyping that shit up. You know, it's such a great. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I haven't played it because, you know, I don't own an Xbox One, and I'm not getting it for PC, so I'll take your word for it.
I guess it's unpolished, or it's not very polished. So, like, the platforming, I think, is just
garbage.
Yeah, like the main character is supposed to jump like he's supposed to, but he ends up falling or something like that. So
I can understand that.
I found some more recent news.
Okay, go ahead.
So from Nintendo Everything, that a former Sony executive reflects on the original talks with Nintendo for the canceled SNES PlayStation. And here's what he had to say. When we started talking with Nintendo about collaborating, the original Famicom was already on the market. We were shown an early version of the Super Famicom, but the Super Famicom was nothing more than a toy. There was tremendous potential in the product, obviously, but it was just a toy. As a major electronics company, Sony's standpoint was, why would we be making a toy? When Nintendo was working on Super Famicom, Kutaragi went to Nintendo asking if Sony could collaborate with Nintendo. Kutaragi proposals was that Nintendo shift from making games on cartridges to making them on CD-ROMs. Nintendo's response was that it was faster for cartridges to start the game with CD-ROMs when it was demonstrated to Nintendo at the time. I don't know specifically, but it took around 20 to 30 seconds for the game to load. But with cartridges, there's almost no delay to start a game. Nintendo said that kids can't wait that long for a game to start. So Kutaragi countered with a proposal of a system that looked both the cartridge on the top with a CD-ROM drive on the bottom. Nintendo agreed on this, and at one point they decided to move forward with this idea. And that's what, end quote. So yeah, apparently Sony thought the Super Famicom was nothing more than a toy
Well, it was a toy. It played video games. Video games are toys. I know people get mad when you say that. No, it's you know, you're playing with a toy, bro.
Your PlayStation is a toy. Your Xbox is a toy. Even Nintendo systems are toys.
They're all toys. You're a grown-ass man playing with a toy. Please understand, you are playing with a toy.
And it's nothing to feel ashamed about.
No.
Not at all.
No, there's nothing to feel ashamed about playing with a toy. All right? Those fidget spinners are toys. All right?
A yo-yo is a toy.
A yo-yo is a toy. I mean, it originally started as a weapon, but every weapon, I mean, hell, if you had a Game Boy back in the day, that was a weapon. that gray brick Game Boy was a weapon. So, I mean, hell, you could use anything as a weapon.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, like, here's what I'll say about Sony and the original, the Sony SNES PlayStation. Sony struck it big by doing a lot of underhanded things in order for the PlayStation to make it big. In the long term, it hasn't really gotten them a lot of money. I mean, Sony used to be worth $180 billion. Now they're barely worth 40 to 50. And they're carrying mountains of debt. So, I mean, Sony is not in the best of shape, folks. And I don't want anyone saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I totally know what I'm talking about. But yeah, yeah, I mean, that's all I can really say. Microtransactions. Let's see, what else? Anyone else have any other free topics they want to bring up before we wrap things up?
Zero here.
Nothing? No one has anything?
I have something. Oh yeah, and another pair of news. Orange is having a crash party event starting from Wednesday to Black Friday. And the gist of it is that yet playing numerous matches against other players to level up your ranks. And once the event is over, you'll be earning not only money but also badges associated with the event.
I guess that's cool. I mean, I got a little bit of news for you. HAL Laboratory has released a HAL Egg brand, where they're basically, it's a mobile game that is on iOS and Android that basically has you like using a UFO catcher to get stuff. That is all. I mean, I'm not going to play the damn thing, but that's just me. I'm like, to hell with that.
And I think that's about it.
Yeah, to hell with that. I am not playing any mobile games.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Splatfest news. Team Fantasy 1 breaking Marina's losing streak.
All right. Okay. Okay, this is not just N, but IGN once again proves that you can't spell ignorant without the I, the G, and the N. Nintendo's obsession with motion controls hurt Mario.
What?
Really?
So let me get this straight. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, two of the best Mario platformers of all time, suck because of motion control? Or those games are hurt because of motion control? Because those games, like the main mechanic of those games was the spin move, which was motion control. At least last time I checked,
yeah,
it was motion control.
Which I don't know where the moon do these guys come up with some of this BS.
Well, it's IGN, and they basically, IGN makes their money by being dicks. That's what they do. So
I would call them more like idiots, but that works too.
So, IGN, you can't spell ignorant without the I, the G, or the N. You also can't spell ignorant without the I, the G, and the N. Basically, ignore, ignorant, ignorant. You can't spell any of these things without the I, the G, and the N. So.
Now I do have one more news of news. Breath of the Wild wins Ultimate Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, wow, that's cool. Now, if only they can take all the prizes. But I wouldn't be upset if Mario Odyssey won a prize too. I mean, at this point, these two games are fighting against each other, so it's like.
Yeah, so in case Mario Odyssey wins Game of the Year at the Video Game Awards, at least Breath of the Wild gets the award at the Golden Joystick Awards.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's Nintendo fighting against itself. I mean, hey, at least the one thing we don't have to hear is there's one thing we won't hear at this year's Video Game Awards. Game of the Year, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Maybe not. I don't know. This is the Video Game Awards. Anything could happen in that Turner Fest.
That'd be too much.
Yeah. But anyway, I guess that's the end. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things? Oh, sorry, we've got some comments here in the feed. We'll get through these and then we'll knock things out. Yao Ye, I don't know how to say your name. You might need to pronounce it right. The pronunciation. Wild Arms in an open world TPS action adventure setting with light RPG elements. That'd be cool. They tried to do that with Wild Arms 5, but Wild Arms 5 had a weird difficulty spike in the later half of that game that was like ridiculous. Falcon Launch says that Left Alive game Square Enix showed at TGS seems like a front mission action shooter. Doesn't seem like you can pilot mechs though. Yeah, I read about that. It is a front mission game, but it's like what would the foot soldiers do? There are portions of it where apparently you can use a Vonzer, but front mission is about you piloting Vonzers. Like the on foot stuff should be like a side thing, not the main thing, but whatever. Metalman says kids are definitely waiting for games these days with installs and updates. I guess he was talking about that whole Nintendo wanting to get people gaming as quickly as humanly possible. I think that here's the irony. Gaming was better when we had cartridges than now that we have CDs and hard drives.
And DLC and DRM.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Metalman, slightly flicking your wrist and pointing at a screen is too hard for some people, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. I guess people can't flick their controllers in different directions. Like the motion controls in Mario Odyssey are really easy and intuitive, so I don't know how that game is really being brought down by motion controls. I don't. I mean, I'll keep it real. The motion controls in Galaxy 1 were shit. For some of the, not for Mario, but like for the flying levels. And when you had to ride the manta ray, God.
I mean, I find it bad enough that Jay-Witz considers the motion controls in the Galaxy games as a con because of how quote-unquote awkward they were.
Well, I mean, I'll be fair. I'll be fair. Galaxy 1 had two sequences where the motion controls were kind of like off-putting because you didn't really use those things for any other thing. And like I just said, it was when you had to use the bird, the bird would grab you and you had to like use it to like ride thermals and stuff, and you had to use the motion controls in order to pilot the bird. And the ones where you had to ride a manta ray and you had to use the motion control in a certain way in order to pilot the manta ray because it was very awkward from what you were doing. But they fixed that with the sequel. Like Mario Galaxy 2 like is much better in terms of the motion controls. Like they're way more intuitive and easy to get into. So I mean, I don't know. I think people just like to bitch and complain about motion control because it's easy. It's an easy thing to complain about.
And because of
Among other things.
and how they are so used to traditional controllers.
Yeah, I mean, if you're used to just basically, if you're used to playing a game and just sitting down and just doing whatever, then it's easy to get into something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that the kids, today's kids will be used to motion controls.
Yeah, especially if they play on cell phones, because damn it, almost every game on a cell phone these days has motion controls and cell stuff and stuff like that. So I fail to see how motion controls are a problem.
Agreed.
But that's neither here nor there. I think we've reached the end of this cast. Anyone have anything they want to pimp out before we wrap things up? Game or anything like that? Anything?
So far, no.
All right.
Other than my review of Beyond Level 1's Beyond Level 1, Brave Dungeon, the review I did with it, that's all I got to offer.
All right.
And right now, I'm currently debating what article to write next for Video Game Facts. I was thinking regarding a side-by-side competition between Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, and who will win, which of the two will win the video game awards, and as well as another article regarding whether or not the Xenoblade Chronicles series was ever good to begin with, because one of our contributors really, really despises the first game as well as the upcoming second, but loves Xenoblade X.
Well, I mean, I think they're designed to appeal to different types of JRPG lovers. Like Chronicles is more traditional, whereas X is more like almost like a X is more of an open world than Chronicles is. Like Chronicles is open in that there's certain areas, but until you get to a certain point in the story, there's other areas that are closed off to you. So you're being funneled kind of like where to go. Whereas like with the original Chronicles, and I think that's going to be the same with Chronicles 2, X is like go anywhere. Now, if you run into some shit that curb stomps your ass, it's on you. That's you know. Which is some bullshit.
So like Breath of the Wild.
And they gave you a level 50 level cap, which is some bullshit, but whatever.
Is there a way to unlock it?
No, the level cap in X is permanently at level 50. So the only way you can really get higher stats is by finding better equipment and putting like gems and attachments into your equipment to up your stats once you reach level 50, which kind of sucks. I'm gonna keep it real because I'm an old school RPG fanatic. I like power leveling my way so that when I get to bosses, which kind of works for Xenoblade Chronicles in the beginning of the game, but then once you get towards the end, it's like you're OP for a lot of the enemies. But once you get past the end and you get like to the after game, to the new game plus part of it, to the after game, there's like OP enemies walking around that even if you're maxed out can just curb stomp you unless you have the right equipment. So it's I love Xenoblade Chronicles X, but there's some enemies in that game that are just mean.
And that's pretty much the only two articles I have in mind that I'm debating what to do first.
All right. So I guess it's up to me. Basically, I will be doing I will probably be doing a podcast next week, where it's going to be a Thanksgiving podcast, but it will not be on Thanksgiving. It will probably be the day before Thanksgiving, because I know a lot of people will have that off, more or less, probably. So look forward to that. I probably will not have a BS Busters next week, Thanksgiving weekend. May or may not, depends on what's going on. But probably not. But keep it open, because things may change, but probably not. That's it. That's the end of this podcast. Thanks everyone for joining. Thank you for participating and being the awesome people that you are. And good night.
And stay away from orange juice. I heard those are pretty nasty, from what I told.
Stay away from that OJ.